Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Make sure you're listening anywhere you get podcasts, and you can follow me on socials at MLUpod. You can also visit my website, peteraradio.com, for playlists, My Little Underground archives, and you can sign up for our newsletter. And that's all on, once again, peteraradio.com. Today is the 5th installment of my 2021 anticipated series, and this time we're going to be talking about, or more focusing upon, shows. That's right. A lot more people are getting vaccinated, which means that a lot more people are comfortable booking and attending shows. So we'll definitely talk a lot about that here today. And before we talk about shows I'm anticipating, I want to tell you about a show that I went to. That's right. I actually did go to a show. My first in-person, large-scale concert. And it was Foo Fighters. Their surprise Father's Day Madison Square Garden show. And what made me want to go to this show, not only because I'm a big fan of the Foo Fighters, is that the show was only for vaccinated people. So you had to show proof of vaccination to get into the show. What was also interesting was that there were some, and it wasn't just at the Garden, it was just generally on the internet with some other musicians, there was some pushback against the all vaccination requirement. I don't know why. I think it's totally stupid. There were protesters outside of Madison Square Garden saying how it was kind of unfair, so to speak, and the vaccine is deadly, and it's all this other crap. And there were some musicians that were against, Foo Fighters for doing such a thing, which is fucking stupid. The past year and a half that we've all had, I mean, I wasn't alone. I witnessed everything that happened the last year and a half. Hundreds and thousands of people dying every day from this horrific disease that shut down not only the music industry or the live music portion of the music industry. Tons of businesses went under because of COVID. And, well, more importantly, a lot of people died. A lot of families lost their loved ones. And we have a thing in a vaccine that's been proven to work. The reason why a lot of you people felt comfortable with going to, barbecues and what have you and parties over the 4th of July weekend is because vaccines help slow down the deadliness of COVID. And if you want to go to concerts and you want your life to be quote unquote normal again, whatever that may be to you, the answer is to get the free vaccine. It helps. Unless you have some legitimate, specific medical reason as to why you can't get the vaccine, cool. But the vast majority of you, I'm talking about the other 45% of the country that isn't vaccinated yet, none of you have any excuses. It's time to think about not only yourselves, but your loved ones and society as a whole. That's how we're going to get back to what all of you are calling normalcy, whatever that is to you. But getting the vaccine is very important. And all the shows that I'm going to talk about here today, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go to all of them. I may pick a few because I don't know what the vaccination rate is going to be throughout the summer and what the rules are for some of these venues. But I'm going to play it by ear and see what happens. And the only reason, again, that I went to the Foo Fighters show is because it was all vaccination. You had to be vaccinated to get in. So, the Foo Fighters show itself, outside of the stupid protesters, was extraordinary. There was no opener. Great. And Foo's played for 3 hours straight. They brought out Dave Chappelle to do a Radiohead song that I do not like, but I didn't care. It was Dave Chappelle hanging out with Foo Fighters. It was really fun. Taylor Hawkins did Queen's Somebody to Love, and it was great. And one thing that I really loved was the very beginning. Now, they kicked off their set with Times Like These. Now, Times Like These is a big Foo Fighters hit. It's still on the radio till this day. But they've been doing a different arrangement of Times Like These that's a lot more emotional. It's the first 2.5 minutes are very slow, and there's not much happening. There's just some keys. And then towards the end, it just explodes. And that's what they did. And when Rami hit the first key, you could just feel the emotion throughout the entire arena. There were pockets of cheers, and most people were just in silence, but it wasn't like boring. It wasn't like they were bored. It was just, people were just emotional. It was unlike anything I've ever seen before. And it was a night I'll never, ever forget. And the other thing that was really cool was that I think merch was half off, and the food, the concessions were half off too. Like, I got chicken fingers, fries, a large soda. It was like $10, right? At MSG, normally that would cost me like $25 to $30, but it was an all-around great night. And again, I can't stress this enough. Please, everybody, get vaccinated. This Delta variant is no joke, and the more we just sit on it and just, I don't want to get it, I gotta wait and see. No, COVID has been proven to mutate and gets deadlier after the more cases there are, the more likely this thing is going to mutate. So we have to do our best to combat this thing, and that is to get vaccinated. Please, people, please. I beg of you. All right, let's get into the good stuff now. Shows. ESG is playing the first night of the Outline Summer Series at the Knockdown Center in Queens, August 29th. Now, this lineup is extremely diverse. Now, this is what I want. I'm so glad that I guess somebody was listening to me, because I really want more diverse shows, especially here in New York City. Now, this lineup is very interesting. We have Magdalena Bay, a synth-pop act from LA. We got Dua Saleh, a Minneapolis rapper, poet, actor, and they were cast in the Netflix series Sex Education. We have Body Meat, an electronic producer from Philly, and Pink Sifu. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And they are an Alabama rapper. So, very, very diverse lineup. Seems very interesting. Seems worth my time and money. But again, I'm a little nervous, like I said before, about what shows to go to because of this Delta variant getting stronger. I hate saying that, but the vaccine has been proven to work against it. So hopefully more of y'all get vaccinated. Luckily here in New York, the vaccination rate is pretty good. It could be better, but it's not too shabby. But we shall see. But looking forward to seeing ESG, New York legends. So Plastic Miracles, they're doing a record and tape fair Sunday, August 8th, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And if you've been living under a rock or haven't been listening to My Little Underground, you know that Plastic Miracles is the label of Elise Okuzami, who is Oceanator. And this year, record and tape fair, there's going to be bands here. So I count this as a show. But those bands have not been announced yet. So, yeah, I'll definitely keep a lookout for that. and it's going to be at the back patio of Marco's in Brooklyn, and there's going to be some other labels there like Citrus City, Sweet Tooth Tapes, Eats Branch Tapes, and Ghosty Recordings. This sounds like a fun Sunday afternoon. Looking forward to this. Small Data playing 2 New York shows with Oso Oso. These are big. September 6th, Amityville Music Hall, and September the 8th at the Rooftop elsewhere. Beautiful spot to see a show. And Amityville Music Hall is really cool too. It's really tight and contained. But the Rooftop at Elsewhere, something else. If you're living in the boroughs and you like Small Data, Elsewhere is the thing to go to. If you're out in Long Island, like Small Data is based in, then go to Amityville or go to both. You know, I might lean towards the Rooftop at Elsewhere just to see how Small Data will perform in front of a New York City crowd, because I've only seen Small Data on Long Island. So, and also, if you haven't heard Inconvenience Store, it's one of my favorite albums of 2021 so far. Go check that out. It's awesome. Shannon Lay, one of my favorite artists out on the West Coast, announced a brand new album in Geist. That's going to be out October the 8th, and she shared with us 2 beautiful new singles. The first being a brand new blueprint, in my opinion, of minimalistic folk, and it's Awaken and Allow. I gotta say, when I heard this tune for the first time, I was literally frozen in my tracks. It is stunningly gorgeous. It starts out almost like an a cappella piece, and then there's some dark and moody instrumentation that's creeping up ever so slightly, and it's almost like a film score in a way, but it's gorgeous. It's so emotional. It really tugs at the emotional heartstrings. Really, it's just fantastic. The second single, the album's title track, Geist, it has almost a waltz-like acoustic guitar licks, some gorgeous harmonies, really shiny keyboard section, almost an antithesis of Awaken and Allow, but 2 beautiful songs. Really cannot wait for this new album from Shannon Lay in Geist, due out October the 8th. And that's not it from Miss Shannon Lay. She's got 2 New York shows announced. The first in Brooklyn, TVI, October the 19th, and Mercury Lounge in Manhattan the day after, October the 20th. A Place to Bury Strangers, Noisy New York Legends. They got a new EP in Hologram, new label in Dead Strange, and a new lineup with Sandra and John Fedowitz of Ceremony East Coast. And they recently announced their EP release show, September the 15th, at the Bowery Ballroom. I've seen A Place to Bury Strangers with their previous lineup, and they were absolutely extraordinary. I will say that A Place to Bury Strangers is probably one of the top tier of my live music experiences. This is not a band you want to miss. You must see A Place to Bury Strangers and bring really good earplugs. Trust me, it is beautiful noise at its finest. Death from Above 1979 announced their Is for Lovers tour for 2022. March the 7th, they're coming to Music Hall of Williamsburg. And the last time I saw Death from Above was about 5 years ago, when our previous president won the election, that famous 2016 election. And I'm so glad that I was going to see Death from Above the day after. This show took place the day after Election Day, and it was at the Paramount out in Huntington, and it was an unforgettable experience. Death from Above are so good live, and I was right up front, so, you know, they're a noisy group, so I took in all of that. Really looking forward to seeing Death from Above 1979 once again. Meet Me at the Altar. They're playing LPR, Le Poisson Rouge, October the 5th, with Nothing Nowhere, Arm's Length, and The Breeding Backwards. Really interesting. Really interested to see how Meet Me at the Altar is live, because their music is so energetic and cathartic. I use it to work out at the gym. So really interested to see how this will shape up in the live setting. Courtney Barnett, an artist that I've seen once before at Celebrate Brooklyn at Prospect Park 3 years ago. And she'll be coming back to New York City February the 5th, 2022, Radio City Music Hall. Very, very interested to see how she would perform there. I've never been to Radio City Music Hall, and I know this is, if you play at this venue, you've made it. So I could definitely, it's safe to say that she's made it. She nominated for a Grammy a few years before. She's been on TV. She's made it. And I'm so happy for her, and really looking forward to seeing her live again. Peel Dream Magazine just announced a U.S. tour with Holy Wave, and they're bringing this tour to the Sultan Room in Brooklyn, September the 24th. And Felicia Douglas will be at Union Pool August 13th. And what's funny, a couple of years ago, I saw Felicia Douglas with Gemma at Union Pool, and that was a very good show. And 2020, Felicia Douglas was putting out a string of one-off singles. Hopefully those lead to something, and I'm glad she's playing a solo show. It would be a good treat to see Miss Felicia Douglas live in the flesh. Union Pool, August 13th. Loren will be coming to the Elsewhere Rooftop August 11th, and I just checked her social media today. There's not a lot of tickets left, so if you're going to go to that, make sure you get them fast. And I saw Loren a couple of years ago at the Music Hall of Williamsburg, opening for Felicia Douglas' other project, Ava Luna. And I've told this story before on this show. The last time I saw Loren, she had everybody sit down. I wasn't too pleased with this initially, because just imagine sitting on the floor of Music Hall of Williamsburg. It's very sticky, and full of dried up beer and maybe some piss. I don't know. It's just it was weird, but it was a good show. Loren puts on a really good show. Hopefully she doesn't require people to sit down, but you never know. Also on the Elsewhere Rooftop, a month after Loren, September the 13th, you'll get to see Combo Chimbita. Now, I've seen Combo Chimbita twice at Elsewhere, but not at the Rooftop, over at the Hall. I think the Rooftop is just, outdoors just makes sense for Combo Chimbita. The music is very vibrant, and it'll be too contained to have it in indoor space. I think it needs to be outdoors to really feel the full tropical experience that is Combo Chimbita. I think their music just allows for to be and exist and thrive within nature. So really good to see Combo Chimbita live again. Weeping Icon, they're going to be at TVI August the 19th. Looking forward to seeing them again as well. And they also put on a very interesting live show. They incorporate noise in a very creative way. Not similar to Place Very Strangers, in the same family. They just do it very differently. They're just a different and very creative band. And before COVID broke out, I saw them at St. Vitus Bar right when their debut album came out, and they're a treat to see if you haven't seen them. And I've seen Weeping Icon on a beach. I've seen them at sweaty, contained DIY spots at the old Silent Barn. So it'll be good to see them live again in general, wherever they may be. Palberta also playing at TVI August 1st. I've never seen Palberta live, and judging from their very entertaining interview here on My Little Underground, I'm sure it'll be a very exciting show. And if you haven't heard Palberta 5000, one of my favorite albums of 2021 so far, go listen to that, please. All right, that's all the shows that I'm excited to see this year so far. But I also want to shout out a couple of albums that have been announced that I'm anticipating. And the first being La Luz. They just announced their brand new self-titled album coming October the 15th. And they recorded with Adrian Young at his studio in LA. And you may know Adrian. He did that 12 Reasons to Die album with Ghostface Killah a few years back. So this would be a very interesting collaboration. And the first single is Watching Cartoons. It's interesting that they would call this their first single when they released another song before this in the country, and it's actually track 1 of their new album. So curious to see why they would call Watching Cartoons their first single when they already had another song out. But whatever, it's not important. But this song is interesting because I feel like there's a sprinkle, just a little sprinkle, of jazz, maybe, added to the usual psych surf sounds that you may know and love of La Luz. This is a great song. Go listen to it. And it leaves me very excited for their brand new album. They also have a USA tour and a UK tour for the fall and, into 2022, but no New York dates. Mostly on the East Coast. That hurts. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be around, but maybe COVID is keeping them on the West Coast, but we'll see. I'm sure the new year they'll come around to New York City because here in New York we love La Luz out here. Illuminati Hotties, speaking of the West Coast, they just announced a new album, Let Me Do One More, and that's coming to us October the 1st. And they put out 2 fun sugary pop singles in Oh Ay Ya Ya and Pool Hopping. Both of these songs are very, very silly, especially the former, but they're fun silly. Illuminati Hotties do silly in a way that's not too silly where you can't take it seriously at all and who cares. But Illuminati Hotties are very good at making very fun, silly, and unbelievably catchy and well-engineered and produced songs. So I'm really interested in their upcoming album. And that's going to do it for the 5th installment of 2021 anticipated here on My Little Underground. You can listen wherever you get podcasts. You can follow me on socials at MLUpod, and you can visit my website, peteraradio.com. Archives, playlists, and also you can sign up for the My Little Underground newsletter. Again, that's on peteraradio.com. All right, later days.